What is up, guys? Welcome to finally a review that we've gotten an opportunity to do. This is our Halloween Horror Nights 2016 overall review for Hollywood and Orlando. I, Mr. Horror Nights, am joined by Psychomassacre Films,
Sup?
Crazy Englishman,
Hey guys.
and HHN Assassin, or Keegan.
Hello. What's going on?
So basically, today we are going to talk about both Hollywood and Orlando's events. First of all, for both events, a great year overall, and we've been wanting to talk about this for weeks, and now we finally can. So Kane, even though Kane isn't here, we have his list as well as like his top houses and his zones and whatnot. So to start this off, let's go to Hollywood. David.
Hey guys. So this year was fantastic. First off, I have to say the merchandise was a big improvement. The mazes were design and aesthetically they were fantastic to look at. It was a great lineup for this year as well. There was not one maze this year I didn't just go, because usually there's one maze that you like, I'll skip. Well, I won't skip it. I'll still do it, but it's This year had a full lineup of great IPs, and so what I'll do is I'll talk about my top mazes in order from least to favorite. So in terms of this list as well, enjoyed them all, but there are in specific order, and I'll be talking about the scare zone, and thankfully there's only one, so it makes it a lot easier. So I have to say my least favorite. Well, I'll say least because I don't want to say least favorite. The least one would be The Walking Dead attraction. Now, nothing against The Walking Dead at all. I actually enjoyed the walkthrough, but it's kind of like a year-round thing. So usually the House of Horrors is on the last on my list because there's not much they can do with it. And the same with The Walking Dead. They can't really alter it too much for the event other than add more scare actors.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still a lot of fun. Like I said, I can't not emphasize the fact that every maze I really enjoyed. But The Walking Dead is The Walking Dead, and you know what to expect from it, and it's still from walkthrough. The next one I would have to say would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, this is further down the list, simply because it reminded me quite a bit of the 2012 maze, the Sora's the Law maze, which is what you guys in Orlando had based on the original film.
Right.
But this is kind of John Murdy's and Chris's version of their sequel, their kind of vision for a sequel of the original film.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, in that way, very interesting, but it just felt very similar to the Sora's the Law. It did get a few scares out of me, so I have to give it major props for that. But saying that, chainsaws in tight quarters is always terrifying. I don't care how long you've been going to the event; that is still quite a frightening experience. The next one I would have to say is Exorcist. Now, again, I had to mention this in my own videos on my own channel. There is nothing against The Exorcist on this. I really enjoyed the maze. However, it didn't. I guess it didn't immerse me as much as the other ones did.
Did the black walls take you out of it?
It's a lot of black walls.
It's a running gag. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a running gag with Hollywood that they use quite a few black walls, and you know what? There's some truth to that. But yeah, with The Exorcist, it's a repeat of each of the bedroom scenes. Though I can see where Chris and John are going aesthetically, going down as Reagan's possession gets worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, it's really cool, and I know John based quite a bit of the maze as well off the band trailer. But it was really, it was all right. It did make me jump a couple of times, but it just felt repeat after repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Though saying that, as I've said before, it's a very hard maze to translate into a maze environment. It's a hard film to translate. Sorry. So I have to give props to the creative team. They did a fantastic job with what they were given. Now, the next one after that would be American Horror Story. Now, I'm a big American Horror Story fan. It was really cool seeing some of my favorite characters come to life in the maze, as it is usually with any other IP. But with American Horror Story, there's one thing that really had a failing on it, which, to be honest, it was a tie between The Exorcist, what would come before, or American Horror Story. There was one major failing that really took me out of it, and there was a whole room with nothing in it. And I kid you not, it was just a white wall. If you get a chance, look it up on YouTube on the walkthrough. We literally walked into this big white room. It was in the hotel segment. There was nothing there. It was literally white walls, and then you go into where Valentino is trapped inside the walls of the hotel. So, yeah, it took me out of it. So, I probably should have put American Horror Story ahead, but with The Exorcist, because there was a lot of black walls, there was a tie between the two. Freddy vs. Jason would be next. This maze was amazing. I've heard from a few Orlando fans while I was actually at the attraction. Sorry about that. This is,
Haunted attraction. There you go.
Haunted attraction. Yeah. Sorry, I cannot speak now. It's binging apparently as well. But they actually said it because I was in front of it, and they had the shirts from this year from Orlando, and I overheard them saying that the Hollywood one was better than the Orlando.
Really?
Which, and it took me by surprise. But having gone through the maze, I can see what they mean. It's really, really good. The sets are really great. John's really good at doing transitions from from different realms, like different lands, as you're going through the mazes, and he does that well in this one. As you're going through Jason's environment to Freddy's Nightmares, there's an easy transition, so you know where you are in terms of the scenes. It's not just kind of rammed into one thing. I have to mention the facade is really good as well.
That Wes Craven homage to that. Yeah.
The Wes Craven nod was awesome. Like, it touched my heart seeing it in person. There was one cool thing that a lot of people didn't notice, though. On the side of the building, occasionally when Freddy's talking, and he'll say, like, "Oh, Jason," and then Jason will actually appear. They've got one of those gags where they got the see-through wall that only appears when they light it up, and Jason actually appears. And it's a full statue of Jason, and it looks really cool. So you're kind of already immersed into the maze before even getting into the house. So it's really good. The next one after that would be Halloween. Now, John and I can agree that we both love Halloween, and this usually ends up at the top of our list, at least once. Halloween was so much better, I thought, than last year's. It got more jumps out of me, which Halloween's really hard to do, because most of the time I go in with a big grin. I go in, I'm like, Michael, that's so cool. But this maze, held comes to Haddonfield, actually, it did make me jump quite a bit, and I loved the hospital environment. I thought they did it really well. Now, one of the things I did like, I think that Orlando did, that we didn't get in the Hollywood one, was Michael charred and on fire. That we didn't have. We just went into this very trippy ending of going through the pumpkin with Michael coming out to stab you and that. So it was two different endings, but I liked the Orlando one a little bit more, but saying that the going through the pumpkin was really trippy and really cool. So that major props to the creative team for doing an original ending.
Yeah, and
that was really creative.
Yeah, the ending to Hollywood's version definitely was out of the box and unexpected, and it was something unique too, because they did use the iconic pumpkin face of the cover of Halloween 2.
Right. And the Sandman song, that's really cool. I like that version of it. pretty creepy.
They slowed it down. They slowed down the Sandman song, and it was really creepy. But they made it seem like the pumpkin, like when you're watching Halloween 2 and the pumpkin splits apart and kind of walk. Yeah, they kind of recreated that in a live environment, and that was really, really trippy.
Mm-hmm.
So last, and certainly not the least, my all-time favorite maze for 2016, my favorite house, goes to Krampus.
Your house was much better than ours. Sorry, I had to say that.
I was going to say that. I watched the Orlando one, and I was in shock on how it was. But I went through ours, and it was amazing. Like, that we actually had full Krampus actors in the maze, and they got quite a few jumps, actually. They got a jump out on me as well, and nowadays I'm very hard to get a jump scare out of, but they did, and for an environment that's very festive, it works really well as a house. The gingerbread sequence was really great. Seeing all these gingerbread like getting drunk or trying to shoot you with the nail gun, and then while you're distracted, they had another dark elf in the corner, so it worked really well, and you got this really strong smell of gingerbread as you're walking through. But like the one thing, if I had to have anything in that maze though, I would have liked the ending that Orlando got, where you ended up in his workshop.
Oh yeah,
that's the only thing I will say that Orlando had over Hollywood in terms of the Krampus maze. But the whole facade for Krampus was fantastic. I mean, you can look it up online. There's plenty of great video, and I managed to get some good shots of it myself. And then they had Krampus up on the roof with Omi kind of telling the tale of her childhood, and every time Krampus is mentioned, he would be highlighted on the roof, and you would hear him howl as well. And
that's awesome. That's awesome.
This maze, yeah, it was really cool. And as a fan of the film, it was really... And Aaron saw how excited I was going through, because he was there with me when I went through the first time. But like, I was literally jittery with excitement. But the cool thing is, as well, it was the maze they had. John, for those who don't know, who's listening to this podcast, John Murdy, the creative director, likes to do a Twitter competition.
Yeah.
Not a competition, but it's a giveaway for a select maze every year. And he chose Krampus this year. But the cool thing is, he teamed up with Michael Dougherty to give away exclusive artwork that he's done as postcards. And I managed to get a few. For example, there's one of a child in the middle of a snowfield impaled by a giant snowflake.
Ooh.
There's one of a nutcracker that's bitten off the finger of a person. And there was another one where a snowman's eating a child. So there's quite a few cool cards that they were giving away. So the last two I'll mention for Hollywood are the Terror Tram and the Purge. Terror Tram was fantastic. I thought it was a major improvement from previous years that they've had the Terror Tram. Walking Dead got stale very fast. And even though Killer Clowns have kind of outplayed, despite them coming back in 2016, like invading all of America, the theme worked really well, and they kind of made, and John and Chris will go against this, but they kind of made a Hollywood exclusive icon, which I will fight is with Hollywood Harry, and it was kind of cool to kind of live through having not an icon but an icon, if that makes sense. But the whole backstory they created for this character was actually intriguing. And I thought Eli Roth teaming up with that, they came up with a really cool concept, and the video they showed you on the Terror Tram was really engaging. So yeah, Terror Tram this year was fantastic, and they actually had alternate routes this year. Like, you literally could choose 2 different ways to go through. And that happened 4 ways on the Terror Tram, so it split off. No sign of Log Bunny this year, unfortunately.
Dark.
For some who don't know, Log Bunny has been around since 2006, and essentially it's John. They got literally a log, but it's in the shape of a bunny, and they place it on the Terror Tram, and it's Hollywood's mini icon. That's not really an icon, but it's there. They hide it on the Terror Tramp for people to try and find. I didn't see it this year, unfortunately, but and lastly, the Purge. The Purge was actually a really cool idea. They covered the entire park in one scare zone, and it worked really well. I never thought something like this would work, but with the Purge, it was a lot of fun, and I have to admit, it got me into it. I'm not even a big fan of the Purge films, but the Gauntlet of Fear that they had was like a mini maze they made outside, and oh my gosh, it was fun. It actually, fun memory. My mum was going through, and she hadn't been to Horror Nights in like years, but she doesn't scare easily. She got scared half a dozen times through that thing. They kept jumping out at her, and she kept jumping, and me and my dad were just teasing her, just like, "Oh, yes, not scared." So, yeah, that was that was a little fun memory of that. But yeah, the Purge worked really well, and I'm hoping they do a similar concept. I mean, I do like individual scare zones, but this worked really well for Hollywood. It was very successful, so I hope they bring that back.
Would you say this year was the best they've had in recent years, or like where would you rank this year in terms of like all the years you've gone, or like the top years that you've gone to?
From all the way to 2006 to 2016, from all those years, I'd have to say this is definitely one of the top ones they've done for this year. All the mazes worked. Even like I said, none of them were weak this year. It's hard to make a list when all of them really were fantastic. Every single maze had its pros and cons, but the pros way outweighed the cons for this year. Merchandise, I was going to finish off saying the merchandise this year was amazing. They stepped up the game from last year. Last year was just, it was not great. It wasn't up to standard what Horror Nights can do, but much merchandise for this year is ridiculous.
Okay.
So, yeah, your merchandise was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the year pin.
Can I just say something? Like, Freddy versus Jason. Like, looking at video and everything, comparing it to, like, ours, I don't think I saw any scene where they actually each other. Like, they just appear, like, in front of each other, like, in the same scene, but I never saw them fight.
Yeah, that's the only thing I will say that Orlando.
There was a lot of Freddy too.
Yeah, they had quite a bit of Freddy. Yeah. I'm a big Jason fan, and yeah, there was quite a few. A little funny story actually. When we were going to the end of it, there's that scene. I don't know if you guys watched the videos for the Hollywood walkthrough, but at the end, they're in the boiler room, and there's one Jason on one side, one Freddy at the other side, and you're walking through. Now. And it's all see-through walls as well. So, like, you'll be walking through, like, brick walls, and then suddenly they'll light up the fabric, and you can see Jason and Freddy on both sides. Now, what was funny was they were actually in the middle of a scene transition of two actors. There were two Jasons going to replace each other. So, like, one was coming in and the other one was leaving. But the problem is, the line was so big that the replacement Jason actually got stuck in the line. So he was right in front of me. So I had this huge Jason right in front of me, and he was trying to be intimidating, like, but he couldn't touch us. He was that close to us. So he kept letting it steady slightly, but he couldn't move it that much. So we had to give way to him. But this poor guy just got trapped there for a good, 3 minutes before they were finally able to switch the guy.
That's funny.
But if I had to grade this year, definitely I'd give it a 9 out of 10. It was amazing. I had so much fun this year.
Awesome. It's great to hear that, with Horror Nights, especially this year, most of the houses have all been great, and it's hard for everyone to rank their favorites, and to the point where, like, every other person's or everyone's lists are so different from each other's in terms of, like, their favorite houses, because they were all so good. So I really got to give credit for both Orlando and Hollywood in terms of that.
They did. And there were some mazes from Orlando that I envied you guys for actually doing, like, what's it? My brain's totally just fried right now. Is it Temple of the Ancients?
Tomb of the
Oh,
Ancients,
Tomb of
yes.
the Ancients.
Tomb, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, John, what are you doing?
I was entering my house, anyways.
Entering your house.
Yes,
Beyond the
through the door.
podcast.
All right. Well, let's get into the big portion of the review. Halloween Horror Nights 26.
Singapore. Okay.
Singapore. We have 9 houses this year, as well as 5 scare zones and 2 shows, and an icon. Let's start with the houses in order with American Horror Story. To be honest with this house, I wasn't as excited as others may have been, since I don't really watch the show. I've only seen season 1, which season 1 is great. I've only seen the beginning of season 2, beginning of season 4, and season 6, which is that's a whole different thing. But overall, this house, it was a very solid house. I was really impressed with it. I got some good scares here and there. Freak Show, the Freak Show segment ended up being my favorite out of the 3 segments they had. But for the most part, yeah, I really don't have anything negative to come up with. The only thing I can say is Hotel really wasn't the one for me that, I guess, terrified me or like even attempt to scare me. To me, it was just, I don't know. Then again, I've never seen Hotel, and it's hard for me to like compare it to the show and all that. But for the most part, Freak Show with Twisty in that segment ended up getting most of the scares from me. And overall, a nicely detailed house. And yeah, I was really surprised with this house.
I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, I got scared. I got good scares throughout. Same. I would say the same with you, Angel. The Freak Show was my favorite part of it. Yeah, I mean, it was a really neat, really cool, awesome house. The scares were pretty impressive and in your face, and yeah, they just did a really good job. I really don't have anything negative per se. I would just think I have other houses above it in my list. But it was pretty good. It was a solid maze. Now I must say that viewing Asylum and Roanoke especially, I actually just finished watching the season, and parts of Coven would be pretty cool. If it does return next year, those 3 seasons in the house are gonna be terrifying, especially Roanoke.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So if it does return, and those 3 seasons are in there, which probably will be, that's gonna be awesome. So yeah, that's all I have to say about American Horror Story.
I think with AHS returning hypothetically returning next year, they have a lot to work with like Coven and Roanoke and Asylum, especially Roanoke.
Yeah.
To work with especially characters like the Butcher and Pigman and all of that. I can foresee it coming back, either not necessarily next year, but at least once more.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it got House of the Year too, so it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. Yeah.
Maybe we'll make it the house's job to actually explain the Roanoke ghost instead of having the pointless character.
What were your thoughts on it, Keegan?
I enjoyed American Horror Story. I started watching those 3 seasons as I went to the event, like the first week, and then later on in October. So slowly, I noticed things like the minor details in it. I thought Murder House kind of lacked in some things. I know, like with Tate, they can't really do much on his backstory, so that room was kind of just a black wall and strobe.
Oh yeah, the strobes of Tate. Yeah, I remember
Which, I mean, I don't blame him, because I mean it'd be really not a good idea to do his backstory.
Right.
But yeah, it was still cool. Freak Show was awesome with Twisty. Oh yeah, when I went on the Lights On tour, I noticed in Murder House there was a mannequin, and written on it was Doris Day. So
Hint, the code name for Hollywood.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty cool. And then hotel was that area was. I mean,
Meh.
one
Yeah.
guy that comes out of the bed, that was cool. One, I forget her name. But I think she becomes a vampire in the show.
Lady Gaga.
No, it wasn't Lady Gaga. It was the one
Oh, she
skinnier
becomes.
black girl.
Yeah.
Not Precious, but
Not Chris.
the other one. But
I forget her name.
she got my friend when I first went. She came out with a knife right up to his neck, and he fell on the ground. So that was pretty great. The one thing I really didn't like was the ending. It's kind of out of nowhere. It's just twisty, surrounded by glass with the shrubs.
Yeah. It was a cool scare. It started me.
Yeah.
But it did feel out of place.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Twisted was pretty much the icon of the whole house.
Yeah,
that's true.
So, I mean, that's pretty much it.
All right, Exorcist.
Oh my god.
Easily for me, my favorite house of the entire year. This house, scares wise, it didn't really terrify me. But what makes it my favorite is the fact that it was very disturbing and eerie to the point where it made me want to run through the house, because just the fact of what was going on in that house was so disturbing, and it just, for me, it made me want to get away from the rotating head of Reagan, who is just sitting on the bed, and it's just, the head is just rotating. That was so. It was just terrifying just to witness that, and overall, detail-wise, the facade of the house, that was beautiful. Overall, this easily one of the very first houses I've ever gone through in a haunted house that has made me want to get out for the sake of feeling uncomfortable and easily creeped out from it. So, but overall, it was a great house for me. I know a lot of people as well, it's not their top house. It's like kind of like in their top 3 or even in the middle. But for me, it's definitely the most scariest or the most disturbing house this year.
I will add this really quickly, and I forgot to mention the facade. It definitely in Hollywood definitely was one of my favorites. I should have mentioned that in the Hollywood layout, but the facade was just fantastic.
Yeah.
The full picture of Father Merrin in front of the house, and they actually angled the beam with the fog on him, so it looked just like the poster. And when Father Merrin arrives at the house, so they did an amazing job, and I think both parks did a great job recreating the house itself.
Keegan?
Yeah.
It was extremely unsettling walking in there, hearing the theme song,
That's
seeing the house. I got major goosebumps. I had like the biggest smile on my face. I don't know why, but there's one room that it really creeped me out. With the noodles on the side thing, and it was pitch black in there. But I wanted to run out of there, but I didn't know where to run because it was pitch black. But then later on, they kind of brightened up that room, so it kind of.
Do you remember the wall, the hallway scene? It's completely black, and you have the arms going that. Oh my god!
Yeah, that was probably the most uncomfortable I've felt.
I forgot about that part. Yeah, that was great. I love that.
And then just seeing Reagan and Pazuzu, just all of that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the smells were disgusting. But
the vomit room.
It was a great, fantastic house.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, same with Angel. This was my number 1 house of the year, and it was just.
And that wasn't.
It wasn't the scariest. Wait, what?
No, I was just gonna say that wasn't sarcasm, by the way. That was legit. Like, because The Exorcist, I've heard like mixed things with like it's either kind of mid or slightly below that in a lot of people's lists. But that's great. Like, that's definitely shakes.
That surprises me. I don't know why, but
yeah.
I've heard different conflicting like reviews from people, and it's just interesting perception on it.
Yeah.
Sorry, John. Go.
Yeah. No, it's fine. But I mean, yeah, just to add to your point, David, it's like all subjective too. Just different things scare different people too,
Right.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, just like Angel. I mean, our opinions are pretty similar. It was just really freaky, really disturbing, really creepy, eerie. Just seeing Reagan and I mean, just the atmosphere, the tone, the overall feeling of the maze was just very uncomfortable and unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
I think the house flowed very well, given the limitations of the film. It just felt like you kind of went through the entire house in a way. And yeah, it just flowed well. There wasn't a point where I was like, wait, like what is this? Like, well, kind of at the end though, I didn't know what the heck the ending was.
What was your ending?
So until like Angel, you mentioned, I think it was the Demon's Lair. Or something
Yes,
like
it was Pazuzu's lair, and at the very end, Reagan comes out from behind the curtains and tries to chase you out. Which, funny enough, I heard Reagan about like kind of like a sound effect or a sound pedal being activated of Reagan screaming, and I literally like fast paced myself out of the house, and it got the girl behind me, but yeah, it's Pazuzu's lair is the final moments of the house.
Okay.
Okay.
So, no videos of it online, so I haven't seen it.
Mm.
Yeah, and how is it? Yeah, the smell, the vomit smell was pretty. I mean, I could smell that thing just in the queue line.
Yeah.
Like not too far from the entrance of the maze. Like it was really potent, really strong. But yeah, just really unsettling, really uncomfortable. Wasn't the scariest experience this year for me, but it just the overall
atmosphere
feeling
of
the maze, just yeah, and just like you said, Angel, the Reagan on the bed with her head spinning, and the at the beginning with the demon's statue just appearing there, and and the music too. You know, everything just freaky stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt really uncomfortable in it. But yeah, that's really it. I thought they did a really good job. You know, given with the limitations, but yeah, I liked it a lot.
Okay. Third house, Ghost Town, the Curse of Lightning Gulch. John?
Ghost Town. This is really cool to walk through. Yeah, again, like pretty much every single freaking maze, there are Horror Nights. I mean, it's movie quality. The environments, the sets, everything was amazing. So much detail went into it, and every year it's just they do an incredible job. I got some good scares in like maybe like 4 or 5 scenes. It was a really cool house. It was just a really cool house to walk through. And what I'm about to say is like it's not. I don't see it as. I'm not gonna put it as a negative because it's not. But I just had different expectations. I thought that this house was in my mind. I saw it as like, well, maybe it was like kind of be like House of Horrors, because in House of Horrors,
I can see your point with that.
It was
yeah.
Like even in the description of the Ghost Town maze, it said like lightning will guide the path, and House of Horrors really did well with that, because it was all pitch black, and when the monsters came out, it was paired with, of course, the thunder and lightning and the black lighting, and I thought that was such not only cool but just impressive, effective scares. So in a few scenes it did that. But overall, it really didn't. It just wasn't what I was looking forward to. I was expecting. So
you wanted the entire maze to follow that idea.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was gonna be like. So, but I mean, it's fine. And the scene outside, like in the town, I just felt like it was pretty empty. Like there wasn't. I mean, I think there were like 3 actors in there, but. As far as like in the middle, I thought that they could have added more actors to like pop out or something like that. It was kind of empty, but yeah, I mean, other than that, it was a cool maze. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about it.
Easily, I'd say this is my second favorite house throughout this year. For the most part, the middle part with the town, that was beautiful. It felt like I was just immersed into this different time period, and I love that. Um, and what really got me with the scares, I got some really good scares in this one, was the use of the pressurized air with the guns, and how every gun shot is pressured air hitting you. I thought that was a really cool, unique technique of scaring people with that, because that was something I didn't expect at all. Um, and for the most part, yeah, most of the scares they were very rapid too, which I got to give credit for that. It was one gunshot jump scare, and then as you're recovering from that, another gunshot jump scare hits you, and you're recovering from that. It's very rapid, fast paced, and I love that. And again, beautiful house, and even the rain itself,
Yes.
that was a nice touch of the rainstorm happening while you're walking through the house. And so, yeah, easily my second favorite house this year. Keegan?
The sets in that house were, oh, so good. Like, I don't think I've seen something that beautiful at Horror Nights in my experience. Other than, well, yeah. Something about it though, like personally, it didn't really click for me. I think my timing must have been off, for the scares and stuff. But overall, really well designed, very well put together. Great house.
Cool. Fourth house, The Walking Dead. This one, I mean,
yeah, I can't.
we.
Sorry, Angel.
No. What were you saying?
Oh no, I was gonna say real quick, like, yeah, Keegan, like at first, I think the first 2 times I went in that house, like the timing wasn't that great.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the third time I got a really good experience. But yeah, like the timing was a little off, too. Didn't see much.
Yeah, it was very time-based
Yeah,
house, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
That was.
I mean that's pretty much the entire lineup too. Like that's how it is in the maze. It's very time dependent.
Yeah.
And it's because there's so many people walking through at the same at the same time as like the thing.
Especially Halloween too, but we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree with that actually.
The Walking Dead. I mean, we're honest here. We give The Walking Dead a lot of shit. But for me, I gotta say this year, out of all the Walking Dead years I've gone, HHN 23 and 24 and now 26, this was easily the best one they've had at the event. And for the most part, it was a great house. I got some solid startles and some good jump scares with this, and it was just a cool maze overall with great best of moments from each house. And I think that was the best way they could do The Walking Dead this year, after apparently last year it wasn't as good, or it was even worse. I don't know. I wasn't at the event last year, but for the most part, yeah, this was easily the best Walking Dead maze for me. I hope this is the last one, because I feel you can't go after this besides maybe doing season 7. But I mean, season 7 for the most part it's just Negan based, and I don't know. I hope this is the last one, but for the most part, if this was the last one, it was a proper send off to it. Overall, I was impressed with this house, and it blew my expectations, because I really was not looking forward to this house, just for the sake of that Walking Dead fatigue we've all been experiencing, both in Hollywood and Orlando.
I kind of sense that with Hollywood, we've got the year-round attraction now, but I think American Horror Story is starting to take its slot.
Yeah, I can see that.
Maze lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they may, to stretch it out, if they're doing something similar with The Walking Dead, they might stretch out American Horror Story and do like a 2-season instead of having all 3 of the remaining seasons. Like, for example, the first year they did The Walking Dead, they obviously did season 1 and season 2. I kind of see them kind of stretching it out. Roanoke might get its own maze.
Which I'd be fine for that, because Roanoke in itself has so much to work with as a house. You can make it a full house.
but I feel that's probably what they're going to do, replacement for both parks. Because, I mean, chances are Orlando's going to get the Walking Dead attraction. So they may end up doing that.
Okay. Keegan, your thoughts on The Walking Dead?
I out of all the years except for 24, I enjoyed this probably second best out of it, simply because we get to relive every season, so it's very reminiscent. The sets were cool. I like the facade choice of just doing the RV.
Yeah, it's simple, very simple.
Yeah. And yeah, it was actually pretty fun on Easy Street.
Oh my god. Easy.
Your thoughts, John?
Walking Dead. Like last year, it was actually the scariest maze for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Like, I think it was the third time, and it was like at the very beginning of the event. There was barely anyone in line for the maze, and man, I just got every freaking scare in the freaking house, man. It was pretty freaking terrifying. So yeah, I mean, it was cool to see all the highlights of the seasons in there, the hospital and the barn, and all the sewers, even from season 6, right?
Yeah,
season 6.
Yeah, season 6.
Okay, that was cool. The walker in there was actually pretty freaky. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Cool walkthrough, very scary, but that's really it. And if this is really the final Halloween Horror Nights maze for the property, then yeah, like I forget who it was. I think was it you, Angel?
Yeah, proper send off.
It was a proper send off for the property from the event. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it.
Okay, we're on to how many houses? Damn, there's 9 houses this year. Lunatics Playground 3D. You don't stand a chance.
Tell us how you really feel.
John, let's start with your thoughts on it.
My least favorite house, honestly. I mean, it was another 3D fun house, basically. It was cool to see Chance, I guess, and there were some cool characters, and I would say a few scenes in there that were pretty neat. But it's just your basic, default, typical 3D funhouse. But yeah, I mean, that's really it. There was nothing groundbreaking or amazing or impressive about it, to be honest.
It was just there.
That's just me, yeah. So, but the line for it, I think that was the first time I went on it. Awful. It was terrible. Like freaking, it was the same, or maybe even worse than Disaster. The queue line for it.
Like how long was the line?
It was like 45 minutes on the.
Oh yeah, then you had to wait even longer.
But I waited I think I waited like an hour or maybe close to an hour and a half or 20 minutes. It was ridiculous. But yeah, it's yeah.
Easily, yeah. I didn't like this house. First, I mean, I'll give it credit for the 3D. It was easily the best 3D house I've been in terms of how it works and how they use 3D. And for the most part, I did at times get disoriented, and the walls, like the paint on the walls, did come out and like disoriented my vision, which I'll give him credit for that. But overall, this house was not scary at all. There wasn't any point in the maze where I was just walking through. It was just like a house with stuff just happening. There really wasn't a clear narrative of what was going on besides just Chance taking over an asylum, and that's it. It just felt like you're going into a room and then something happens, then scare. Next room, something happens. boom, scare. You know, there you have compared to other
colors.
houses. Yeah, compared
Pretty
to
lights.
compared to compared to other houses like Halloween and American Horror Story, where there is a narrative with those houses as well as others. This didn't feel like a Halloween Horror Nights house, if that makes sense. I wouldn't say it's complete crap. I'll just say it just sucks. But it's easily my least favorite house of the year.
That's what I kept hearing from a lot of people, and then not just one or two. Quite a few people didn't like that house, and that's kind of sad when your icon's house kind of
Exactly. It's your icon's house, and it's not good.
like look
Bring
at
Jack back.
here. That was amazing. And then you've got this one, which totally reverses that.
Keegan?
This was extremely disappointing. When I first heard about it and like all this stuff, I've been saying Theater of the Mind.
Yeah, that
and
too.
Shady Brook.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, wow, man, I
feels-
can't wait.
Yeah, it feels like they totally dropped Theater of the Mind and Shady Brook too, because you did not feel like you were in Shady Brook.
No.
It was more of just like, hey, Chance is a thing. Look what she can do. She is crazy. Cool lights.
Heavy
That was
metal,
it.
heavy metal rock
Cool
music.
lights.
Heavy metal rock music in the queue.
Yeah, it's
I don't think it was supposed to be Shady Brook, was it?
no,
Yeah.
it was. It was supposed to be her. I think. breaking
Yeah,
out of
like
there.
her mind. We're in her mind and things are happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm
that
gonna have to revise my lore videos. Now.
that wasn't clear at all.
I thought it was Hellgate Prison. I thought she was in a prison.
No, it was an asylum.
No. So
Yeah.
it was Shady Brook.
But I was disappointed. I know most people don't like Chance, but I like Chance, so I thought she'd get a little more.
I didn't even know it was Shady Brook.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay. Texas Chainsaw. John, your thoughts on that one?
I'm gonna go
Alright.
silent real quick.
All right.
Yeah, okay. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was some really. It was really cool to see Leatherface. I was really intimidated to see him. Yeah, I got the biggest scare in this house. I screamed very loud, and I think I hit Matt, my friend Matt. I don't know. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. But I think I almost hit a wall. It was so bad. But yeah, it was really cool to see the. I just felt like it was in the film. I was in the film, and really in your face, really scary, terrifying. The smells, everything about it was really cool and really awesome. And yeah, just disturbing. But yeah, it was really cool to go into Leatherface's world and see him and just the terrifying stuff that happens in that house in the film. So pretty awesome, Maze.
Okay. Easily this was easily one of my most anticipated houses. I was really looking forward to how the scares would work and all that. But for the most part, this was the most disappointing one out of my experience, because it ended up becoming like after the opening I found was great. It was the type of intensity and scares I wanted. Like, yes, that's what I want. I want Leatherface to come running out of the room and chasing after us with the chainsaw. But after that, I've noticed more noticeably of where Leatherface was coming out of the rooms, which made it kind of ruined the experience, because you knew where Leatherface was coming from, and to me it felt like expected of where he was going to show up, and that took away a good chunk of the scares. And the intensity of the first room, I don't know what happened to me. I didn't feel it anymore, and so that was really disappointing. Yeah, and I did, people do mention, oh well, he may have had a bad experience in the house with timing, but I did see the scares coming up, and there were scares of Leatherface literally in front of me, and I just knew he was coming right there, and he just shows up, and You know, compared to Hollywood's, where I see videos of Hollywood's where Leatherface is hiding behind a wall, and you don't expect that wall to be a hidden door, and he hits
So
you with
bad.
that. That's the type of scares I want, and you know, I didn't notice any of those, and it kind of ruined it. But yeah, facade otherwise the facade is great. But yeah, the most disappointing house this year for me. Keegan.
I thought I get all like the complaints about it, but I personally I enjoyed it. I thought it was in your face. But yeah, like you said, the first Leatherface scare was really
Mm-hmm.
in your face, and it did decrease after that. But the one watching him come out, oh, that was the first one, but wait, but still, watching him come out of the cellar door was awesome.
Yeah.
And I forget. There was one later on that I really liked. I forget what it was though. Oh yeah, never mind. It's towards the end. It has the grandpa.
Oh
in the
yeah.
room, and then he comes around the corner. That really got me. And then by the stairwell, where his brother comes out, and then Leatherface comes at you. Overall, is very close house, compact. It could be a little bit better, but yeah, just enough.
Next house, Tomb of the Ancients. Easily, this was one of my top ones as well. It's behind Ghost Town. Like Exorcist, it was another disturbing maze with some cool scares here and there, and Sprung Tent was really awesome as well. The facade, I mean, the facade for that was something I didn't really expect. Besides, maybe just a tomb entrance, but other than that, the whole adding of kind of like you're in a jungle that worked really well with it. But for the most part, yeah, it really implemented some great use of claustrophobic elements to it, and there are moments as well in the maze where you do get that sense of being claustrophobic, and I like that a lot. But overall, it wasn't as disturbing as Exorcist was, but overall, it was a very unsettling house, kind of like how Dollhouse of the Dam was back in 2014. But yeah, other than that, I really like this house. John?
Yeah, right. This house was loud. It was scary. It was really dark. At least the first times I went in, and later the last time, like they lit it up more, and they expanded the walls, and like they moved them apart, and I don't know. It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same effect. But the first few times I went in it, like that was amazing. Excellent house. Really claustrophobic, dark, scary, loud. Like it was really freaking good. I was very impressed with this house. Yeah, it's my second one on my list for sure.
Keegan?
This is my number one. This house was amazing. It's unlike Lunatics that had a clear original story of what you are,
Mm-hmm.
where you are, and what you're doing. The costumes are fantastic.
Oh yeah, that too.
Just this was the first enclosed Sprung Tent house, right?
What do you mean by that? Enclosed?
Like there's a roof.
I didn't notice that.
I think it was the first house that it was as claustrophobic as it was. I think it's the first of its kind, in that way.
Yeah, because you can you really feel that in this house. It was
the claustrophobic part. Yeah.
It was awesome. The costumes are cool. And this was a couple of the nights when I went, I would stay until like 2 just so I could go in by myself just to enjoy it. But yeah, so much fun. And honestly, I don't have really any complaints with this house in particular. So yeah.
Awesome. Halloween 2. Halloween 1 was easily one of my favorites for 2014. definitely the scariest that year. This one, I had high hopes for it, and I kind of did walk out slightly disappointed with it for the fact that, and I'm kind of, contradicting myself because I mentioned before, you know, the scares in Halloween 1 were so great. Let's just put that in Halloween 2. Turns out it becomes a little bit repetitive for me, and well, I did get good scares overall. I think the biggest problem with this was just the fact that there were too many Michaels. Like there was like certainly one room with about 3 to 4 Michaels in one room, and it just you're being like hit with each Michael in every corner of the room. And while it's cool at first, as you get further into the house, it starts becoming expected and somewhat repetitive of Michael showing up. And but yeah, other than that, I still got some good scares. Hospital facade was great, and even the opening when you're going in the closet, kind of reliving the experience of Halloween 1's ending, that was a great touch to it. It's a good house, but it's not as good as the first house was, because the first house is really untouchable compared to this. Keegan?
I enjoyed this one. Yeah, there were a lot of Michaels, and there was one point in the hospital where I got the timing perfectly and got every one of his scares, and there was 4 in a row, and it was kind of like, okay, I get it. But yeah, Dumpster Mike was cool. The
Dumpster
ending
Mike
was cool. Like you said, starting off actually I can't even say it. I'm gonna set myself up for a joke. But yeah, starting off from where Laurie is, going into the room, seeing Loomis shoot Michael. That was awesome. The Trick or Treat kids again. That was cool. And the ending, I love that so much.
That was a great, yeah. I like the use of
cool.
the fire and smoke effect. That was a great touch to that.
It looked perfect. Other than that, just like a few minor complaints that I can get over, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
John, your thoughts on your baby?
Yes.
Your baby, your franchise.
Yes. Yeah, it compared to the first one, it wasn't as scary. But yeah, I mean, I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and it was just really cool to walk through and just see all the scenes and what everything that went on in the hospital in the film. The ending was really, really neat. Seeing Michael that way, it just reminded me of Michael in Resurrection at the very end when he gets burned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it was just for a fan of the series, it was just really, really cool. A great fan service, and once again, Michael Aiello and everybody did a great job with it. But yeah, it just wasn't. It was scary. It was scary, but it just wasn't as impactful, I would say, as the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great to see Michael again. But yeah, I think that's really it. Yeah. And again, like the first Mace, and they got the concept of him popping out, like he could pop out in anywhere because he's not only a man but a supernatural entity. That they got that perfectly as well.
Mm-hmm.
There were some parts though in where it didn't happen at first when I first went in it, but I think the second and I think I went in this maze about 5 times. There was one part, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was one part, and I think it's right before you go into the scene of the facade for the hospital. There's a Michael on your right that's a mannequin. He's just standing there. It's like, what the heck are you doing? Like, have him scare people. Like,
oh yeah,
and there were parts
I didn't notice that.
Where, yeah, like you look to your right, and he was just the mannequin, like just standing there. I was like, okay. But there was also too some scares that they got rid of at the beginning, I would say. With I think Michael comes out of like through one of the walls of the houses, and they just completely got rid of it. And I thought like, that was a really cool scare, but well, whatever. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Halloween 2 was awesome, and
Finally,
One
the
last
last.
thing to add.
Oh, wait, what?
Or- Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Last thing, it's kind of funny how the dumpster mic actor caught on, because when I said it to him, he kind of just nodded his head or like leave it.
Dumpster Michael.
Done to the
Yeah.
point
Quinn,
where-
dude, Quinn shouted that out the first time we went in, and Michael just looked at him the whole time. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Dumpster Michael.
He'd either stare me down or he'd.
Dumpster Michael away.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna get to the point where, like, with Hollywood, the biggest joke is like black walls. You guys have mannequins. There's
Yeah.
a lot of mannequins.
Static props. Oh God, we're gonna talk about the most.
And handrails. Don't forget the handrails.
Oh, the handrails.
Dracula Untold, 2014.
Speaking of static props, one infamous one in the final house, Krampus.
So crap.
It was Krampus.
Let's start. Nice.
The house gave me a cramp.
Keegan, let's start with you.
Okay, at first I started off absolutely despising this maze.
Really, really.
Because it was not like anything I expected. I honestly felt sort of like a jackass walking through because I had the most blank face ever of disappointment.
Disappointed the Keegan.
But later on, when I went, I kind of turned my brain off and enjoyed the stupid fun. And it became in my top 3. I don't know. Yeah. It got fun later on if you enjoy it. You just think to enjoy it. You know, kind of like a They Live type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're being mind controlled to believe it because everyone loved it. So you think
Just
about
watch the Hollywood history over and over again and just
yeah.
say, I went through that one.
Picture yourself. But yeah, my main gripe with it is, you know, not having Krampus in a house called, you know, Krampus. But yeah, it was cool to see him up on the roof. Dirt Clown was cool. Yeah, later on I kind of just learned to love it. But yeah, it was okay. I don't want to hate it because I don't want them not to do Trick or Treat later on. So I was kind of like, hey,
I want that.
just kidding. I love it.
I believe Krampus was the highest rated maze of Hollywood, so.
Yours
definitely
was.
a lot of praise. So
See, yours was like 10
Yeah,
times
yours-
better.
Yours was beautiful.
I think Trick or Treat would be a big because I think it is a possibility Trick or Treat will actually come now.
What if they do Trick or Treat
Oh, yeah.
next year? They don't even have Sam in the house.
He's a mannequin.
His hand moves.
Dude, Vic will be so mad.
So bad.
What the hell is
Oh,
this shit?
Yeah.
Just freaking run through the house angry, screaming.
Punches one of the actors. Fuck you.
He just kicks the mannequin. What the?
Oh man.
Hey, you're paying for that. I don't give a. Anyways.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool little details in that house that I really enjoyed, like the stab poster, Sam's lollipop, all the snow globes. That was cool.
There was a
But yeah,
stab
other than
poster?
that- Yeah, the bedroom upstairs. It's kind
Stab?
of frosted over. Yeah, like the
Like
movie.
Scream?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't notice that.
yeah. You have to look
interesting.
closely. I would have taken a picture, but you know we can't do that when the lights on anymore.
Oh, guys,
Oh yeah, with the tour.
Yeah.
you see that? That's the postcard.
Whoa,
Oh, that's cool.
that's awesome.
And then I've got this one. This is the other one I found with the 3 snow angels, and one of them's a devil.
That's awesome.
Oh.
Also,
No, go ahead.
the when I went through the tour, the lady took out the Sam lollipop out of the bag, and I was the last one in that room, and I kind of, you know, lifted it up, and I almost took it, but I left it. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna be a bad guy today.
Keeping criminal.
But yeah, that was
Smooth criminal.
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but whoops.
Ooh, I'm telling ILO, dude.
You're banned from
You're
forever.
No.
ILO actually watches the
Oh man,
Crap.
that's
ILO, if you're watching,
I'm
I
sorry.
apologize for Keegan's behavior.
I didn't take
For
it.
for
He does-
his for his thought.
it doesn't.
I just-
He doesn't represent the views and actions of this group.
I just firmly grasped it.
Firmly grasp it.
Hey, wrong. Trump would say. Anyways,
Nearly wanted to
Wrong.
pop.
wrong,
I didn't steal it.
Wrong.
wrong.
It's during the tour, so you can touch stuff. That's what they said. So
Okay, well then you're fine. But you almost
Yeah.
took it, so there. Well,
yeah. Everyone was thinking it.
I went in with this house with Krampus with an open mind, like every other house. To me, it wasn't bad. It was at best it was an all right house. But the best way for me to say it is, it's not great, but it's not good. It's wasted potential.
Mm-hmm.
Easily, and the best way to see that is with, for example, the static prop of Krampus. It's awesome to look at, but then you realize, wait a minute, that's not real. How awesome would it have been if that was real, or if in the actual Krampus popped up while you were looking at a fake Krampus, and it just scared you right as you were looking up. That's how I would see it, and how I would plan out a scare with that. But for the most part, yeah, it was wasted potential. That's all I can say about it. There were just too many, kind of like how Michael Myers, there was too many of them in Halloween 2. With this one, it just felt like it's just Krampus featuring dark elves, because most of the scares in this house were nothing but elves. Which noticing it in the house, it kind of took away, the whole experience of it being a Krampus house.
Yeah.
The attic scene was great, though. I will say that the teddy bear in there got me the most. And
Tell you what,
no, go ahead.
Really quickly, speaking of the teddy bear, I have to give major props to who they cast to play Adam Scott's character from the film when he gets attacked by a teddy bear. He looked exactly like him. Like, it was, I had to double take. Like, the guy they got to play him, like, he looked just like Adam Scott. I was just like, Is that
Maybe it was Adam Scott.
done like the actual actors sometimes. Like it was a few years back with Insidious, they actually had Lee Wannell and Angus, I can never remember his last name, to play Specs and Tucker.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I wouldn't have been surprised. But sorry, go on. It just reminded me.
I would just say overall, it's not. I wouldn't say it's complete crap or crap at all. It's a good house with good details, but it's all right. John, yeah.
Oh yeah. Just I mean, yeah. Sets were awesome. I like the scents, the smells in there.
The smell too. No, yeah, the smell. I love
the smell's
smell.
great. Yeah, I mean, it was fun to walk through. I just was very disappointed with it. Of course, with freaking Krampus, the main attraction of the freaking thing.
And it's just a statue
standing there
on the roof.
Freaking still
not
figure.
Not even close to you on
in
the
the
roof.
living room, he's just there. Like.
The sad thing too, it looks like it was supposed to be an actual person.
Yeah, dude.
The other thing too, it's in a freaking Shrek building where there's not a whole lot of room too, which also hurts the house.
Yeah.
Like, it felt at times like the house. You feel like the house could kind of expand a bit. Yeah, it felt a little bit compacted.
They did do the best job they could do.
They did,
Sorry.
and I will give them credit to that. But it's not the best location for it.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
But no, it's okay. Yeah, it just it just sucked. That part of it just let me down.
I find it a hell of a lot better than Chance.
That is true.
Oh yeah. But I mean that's really it. And at the very end, I like the final Krampus that you see in his lair or workshop. They added. Look, that's what they did. They freaking. I don't know if you guys saw it, but his right hand would move forward and back, and then there will be a little like flashing, and then he'll be like, then you would. So like he's just like moving his hand back, forward and back. It's like, what in the heck is that? What crap is that? That gave me a cramp right off the bat when I saw it. I'm like, wow. And then, like, I've heard from people, like, friends, and, like, oh, man, they're finally going to add, like, an actor, like, Krampus actually scaring you.
And then that
like,
never happened.
freaking Hollywood. Like, and that never happened. So, yeah, I was just disappointed.
The snowman scare, though, that was a good one. Even though it's
the
not...
snowman was cool, yes.
Yeah.
That got me.
Even though it wasn't as good as what Hollywood made it to be, it was still a good scare.
I mean, in Krampus is terrifying, dude. He's freaking scary.
And then
like I was really like I was nervous to have him pop out at me, but no, he just looked at you and looked away from you and just did nothing. And in Hollywood, he actually freaking scared you and popped out a reasonable amount of times.
I'll tell you my favorite.
It's crap.
The Hollywood was that they had a scene where you actually walk past one window, and in the reflection on the wall, a shadowy claw was on the wall, and then as you're going down the hallway, they actually had an open window which you couldn't see from the side, but they had a Krampus actor in there. But all you could see was his hand kind of just moving, like kind of almost like rhythmically, like. So you knew it was there, but like whether he was going to jump out, you didn't know. And it was like, oh my god, it made me jump so bad.
That's awesome.
But we need to coin the term Krampus for like really.
Krampus. Yes. Krampus gave me a Krampus.
I wouldn't say it isn't bad or like crap.
It's not terrible at all. It's not terrible at all.
It's wasted potential.
Down by it.
Yeah, it's big disappointing. Yeah, especially disappointing if you were like a diehard fan of the film.
Right. And if I was given the like, if I had to choose to walk through Dracula Untold or Krampus, I would walk through Krampus.
Or have it derailed.
But it's just Krampus, and you know. And yeah, I mean, it's just let down. But other than that, the detail was great. The sets were great, and it was just fun to walk through. But I was just let down by it.
Yeah,
we could have done more with it, honestly.
Yeah, I could go through it a million times. Which actually, I think I went through that one the second most, just because of the minor details it has, like the Necronomicon. In Krampus's lair, that was cool. All the stuff in the house. They have a lot of cool little details that are from the film too, like the Mountain Dew bottle, stuff like that. But no Krampus.
No Krampus.
Let me mention Kane's thing before we sign off with this. This year on paper is incredible to say the least. And by the way, this was Deadly Fear. It was his thoughts on it. Just a brief overview. 2 major slashers making a return. A return to Ghost Town. Chance getting her big break. Finally getting The Exorcist and American Horror Story. Experiencing the most claustrophobic house in HHN history with Tomb of the Ancients. And getting a house as fun as Krampus. This year has an incredible lineup with its houses. Though personally for me, it's one of the more forgettable years in recent memory. Damn. The year itself didn't feel well connected, like everything that was there for its own purpose and not for the purpose of explaining Chance's story. Having an icon and a theme usually makes the event feel more whole and complete, but this year just felt like random houses and scare zones coming together. That's not to say I didn't enjoy the event. I enjoyed it very much. It just felt like something was missing. You could tell it was an attempt to make the event feel like its golden age with connected themes and strong icons. hopefully next year they will find their stride again. That's Kane's thoughts.
No, you had some very good points in there.
Yeah.
They tried
Yeah, like the houses were just there. It's like,
yeah.
very cool. But hey, I gotta get going.
All right. We're practically just finishing the podcast. Scary zones were cool. Besides the chance one was Other than that, yeah, I think that's it for Halloween Horror Nights 2016. Anything
Vamp
else?
was cool. Vamp was cool.
Vamp.
Survivor Die is my favorite.
Chance was like whatever. Here, introduction. Hey, hi, I'm Chance, and this is HHN 26. Welcome. That's it. It was really nothing to it.
Now get out. We have your money.
Now get out. Vamp was cool, and then like the atmosphere and just the music and everything. The costumes were great. But another one that was really cool was the what's it called? The Dead Man's Wharf with the fog and everything.
That was cool.
That was really effective in how they did it, and it helped the actors like give like scares like out of nowhere and like in your face. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and then the one in the what's it called? The
A Lair of Banshees.
That was like past zones in theme, like very similar thematic.
That
The
area is
costumes were
always
cool,
kind
but
of
it was pretty much seeing the same thing.
Yeah.
And Survivor Die was cool. It reminded me of like Mad Max and like
Acid Assault.
and Acid Assault, yeah. It wasn't really like blown away by it, to be honest. But
one thing that I really loved about the scare zones is that, well, kind of like Shady Brook last year. Well, that was kind of the one zone that had good guest character interaction, but I personally thought every zone had great character guest interactions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially Vamp. Survivor Die. I thought that was really cool how they have the people going around like, have you joined Mother? Have you joined Artifice or whatever it's called?
The different factions.
Yeah, and they take you to the ceremonies. That's the kind of stuff that I want and that I think they should keep doing.
Have you joined Team Mystic, Team Instinct, Team whatever the hell the fire one was? I forgot. Valor. There you go.
And when we were talking about it earlier about the overall theme of the event, is you can tell that this was probably meant for the Usher in terms of IPs and just genres in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Krampus, you got like the black comedy horror movie.
Yeah.
Scare zones, you have like the post-apocalyptic vampires.
Haunted, mist-like scare zone, yeah.
Yeah, and then with all the different houses, you have just miscellaneous stuff that would have really worked for him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Well, let's see what next year brings. That's all we can say at this point.
Team Krampus.
Team Krampus. All right. I think that's about it. Thank you for listening through this. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you soon. So talk to you guys later.
All
Adios.
right. See ya. Thanks,
See ya.
guys.
Bye.